So now that Whole Cake Island has officially wrapped up in the anime, 877 was the last episode in the arc. I'll take a step back and think about the arc as a whole, the moments that stood out to me the most, the things that went against this arc that kind of had a negative impact for 2+ years. So there's a lot to go down, there's a lot to cover, so I'll try to break it down as fast and as simple a way as I can. If you guys have your own thoughts and comments about the arc, but I did one for Dressrosa back in the day, and I think I did it after the anime as well, when it came to like the best moments and just the arc as in general. I didn't really do one for Zone because it was more or less a bridge, a stepping stone to set up more things in the future. But Dressrosa was an arc directly involved with Doflamingo and Shichibukai. Obviously, this Whole Cake Island is the first arc that heavily involves a Yonko in the name of Big Mom. So my questions are as follows. Did Oda portray Big Mom in the way you hoped? Oda did a good of a job with his first arc involving the Yonko. If your answer is yes, please let me know your reason as to why. If your answer is no, that's okay. Please leave your reasons in the comments below. And that's okay. And I think that it's a 50-50 decision when it comes to the Whole Cake Island. Break down the good points and I'll break down the bad points. So let's start with the bad points. I personally think it goes down to two: pacing and consistency. Now, that doesn't seem a whole lot on paper because it's just two problems that I can see. Now, that's true, but however, when you consider the fact that it's 2+ years of an arc, this is the second longest arc in One Piece next to Dressrosa. There's a lot. There's pacing issues. It wasn't just in the anime, it was in the manga. The anime, I felt, did something to add more to the arc, even though the pacing was kind of out there. But with certain fights, and I'll get into this in a minute, with certain fights and certain scenes, they added more to it. So, because in the manga, and I've said this before, the ending was kind of rushed. At least to the ending of the last chapters, it felt very rushed. So, they added more to the fights, they added more to scenes, to certain character moments. However, the fact of the matter is, it's still a 2+ year arc, and the pacing can be a bit too much. Not just in the anime and the manga. A lot of people were sick about the whole wedding cake chase, especially when it led to nothing. I mentioned this before many times. It was absolutely pointless to drag it out as long as they did. It could have been reduced to a chapter or two, especially when it was in the middle stages of the arc in the manga, when the editor came out and said, this arc is 50% done. We'll be going on to Wano and the Reverie soon, so the pacing will quicken up. So they did that for a couple of chapters, but after that the pacing went down, especially when it came along. That kind of like dragged out a little bit too long, and then we had the Big Mom falling off the cake. I think that's where the pacing went down a little bit. The inconsistency. First off, let's start with Brook versus Big Mom. A lot of people did not agree with that because obviously Big Mom being a Yonko, she should have just one-shot Brook. A lot of people felt. Another inconsistency would be Jinbei pushing Big Mom off the Sunny when she was in a fire mode, I guess. But then again, Jinbei did end up calling her off with the water, right? When he was knocked into the sea. But before that, he blocked a Tangte hit from Big Mom using Haki. So, again, a little bit of inconsistency, yes. Luffy and Big Mom, and the anime kind of extended this scene where he went into Gear 4 and he uses Kongon, and they extend that scene to a little bit too long. Whereas in the manga, it was just one hit, one attack, Luffy was out of Gear 4. That was it. So inconsistencies like that did not make sense, especially when it comes to power scaling. Oh, and now he's up against a Yonko commander in the form of Cracker, and with Nami's help, he was able to gain the upper hand and then use Tankman to take out Cracker. He couldn't do it alone. He just couldn't, and so the problems become, okay, so now he couldn't defeat Cracker without Nami's help, but now he's able to defeat Katakuri. And the fact of the matter is, there were some like plot holes in the fight. As good as it was, there was some things that a lot of people scratch their heads over, like Katakuri stabbing himself to make himself equal with Luffy, considering that Flampe was nothing more than a plot device to get Katakuri's character to turn. Don't get me wrong, it's a great moment, I'll get into that, but consistency, like, oh, okay, so Flampe's here to even up the odds, even though we kind of knew Luffy would stand a chance against Katakuri. Obviously, we know how the outcome went out, but there's an inconsistency right there. Certain things like that, and there's more examples of it, but you get the point. There's a lot of inconsistencies, and again, when there's 2+ years of that, it becomes quite of an annoyance, to be honest. So those are the bad points. I'm pretty sure if you guys might think there's more to it. If you do, leave them in the comments. Analysis of the entire arc. So let's break down the good points. First off, moments and characters that stand out the most. So let's see, and we actually respect more because of this arc. So obviously we got introduced to the Vinsmokes, we got introduced to Big Mom Pirates, the Charlotte family, we got more insight into Capone and Chiffon and all that, not the Fire Tank Pirates, right? So let's break it down with the Vinsmokes, okay? So we start off with the introduction with two siblings, Yonji and Reiju. Reiju was introduced in a very likable manner where she saved Luffy's life. Obviously a fan service moment, but it's still a likable moment because she saved Luffy's life. Much to the way Robin, before she ended up becoming a Straw Hat, she saved Luffy's life in Alabasta. I made these comparisons before in similar discussions where it seemed like Reiju's kind of the same mold, but she kind of a mystique to her, but she did have a good quality to her. A lot of people actually judged her because she was actually laughing at Sanji's misery, but we all know she actually deeply cared about her, which we come to find. That's the Vinsmokes. That's where the dynamic changes, because the brothers turn out to be douches and not faults of their own. It's just the way they were created. It's the way that Sanji found a way to actually have emotion, to actually care about people. So that's what we kind of found out when it comes to the Vinsmokes. In the end of the day, the way they ended up they made you care about them, which is kind of ironic. So obviously Reiju's out of the bunch, with the exception of Sanji, stands out the most because the character gets flushed out so much. So first off, she replaces the cuffs that Sanji they got from the celestial dragons that explode once he tries to escape. That would have prevented him from cooking any further, gave him some duds so they wouldn't explode, and she gives Sanji a reason to leave. After she was kind of shot by Pudding and taking most of her memories, it was Sanji that kind of reminded her and filled her in on what was going on, because she reveals to Sanji what happened with Sora, the mother of Sanji. Reiju tearing up saying, "You're kinder than any other person I know." So that was a character moment. So the rest of the Vinsmokes didn't get much of an opportunity to flourish, but obviously that was the point. But in the end, they did kind of end up in a likable manner because they assisted Sanji in escaping Whole Cake Island. And I said it before, it's kind of ironic because they ended up as the wall to allow Sanji to escape, which they used walls like humans, shields for walls as soon as they were introduced. So I found that so ironic. Again, the Vinsmokes, do you think they were flashed out? Reiju, obviously, and obviously one of the best characters of the entire arc, if not One Piece, when it comes to a female cast. Then we go over to, I guess, Capone. Obviously, the rest of the Fire Type Pirates did not get as much a chance to shine. We did get a lot more about Vito when it comes to, I guess, him being a fanboy of the Vinsmokes as well, Sanji. Capone got a similar interaction that Law would usually give to Luffy after he started warming up. He ended up in a cold-blooded manner with Jinbei proposing the alliance with Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hats. But as the arc rolled along, he actually, again, the same interactions Law had with Luffy, Capone was getting. And on top of that, by the end of the arc, he just decided to protect Chiffon. He didn't abandon her. He said, "No, I can't abandon my wife." He shot Oven in the face in Coco Island to help her out. So then we go to the rest of the Charlotte family members. Katakuri, very self-explanatory. The characters that stand out the most when it comes to the Charlotte family members. Katakuri and Pudding. Obviously, you could throw Oven in there just because he got things done. Smoothie, she was a badass, but we didn't get much to see her what she could do in a combat stand. But Katakuri in putting are the ones that stand out the most because they got more development. And I think that was always the goal, but I don't think Oda predicted Katakuri would be as popular as he would be. He was just introduced in a very badass manner, and separates him alone for the rest of his family is the fact that he had respect and acknowledgement for Luffy. No, I didn't underestimate Luffy. I actually have respect for you because you're a threat to Big Mom, which is kind of debatable that you didn't underestimate Luffy because he had several opportunities to kill Luffy. Instead, he walked away for his merienda. But you get the point. And by the end, he even had more respect for Luffy because he decided to land on his back when the fight was over instead of falling on his stomach. We also come to find out, thanks to Brûlé, that the way he is, how tough he is, how perfect he needs to be, is for the sake of his family, for the sake of his siblings, right? Because he got teased because of his face. Others got tormented because of it, like Brûlé. That's a character moment for Katakuri to find out why he's the way he is. Mochi no Mi abilities are compatible with Luffy's. His observation haki has been trained to see into the future, and he has advanced armor. Obviously, the respect he has for Luffy by the end of the arc, more respect we have for Katakuri as a character by the end of the fight. And I said this in my review, and I'll say it again. I don't think Katakuri would have gotten as much respect had he have won. Had he have won, would be reacting the same way. Oh, he should have won. He should have won. Will we be reacting the same to Katakuri had he have won? I don't think so. And let's be honest, despite how much of an inconsistency may have been at times, it was always the goal for Luffy. It's his journey, it's his story. Katakuri, in a way, helped out more Luffy to polish his skills a little bit because he wanted to learn how to train his haki to see into the future as well. He kind of got the gist of it, but he still has a long way to go. The character got fleshed out. Pudding, she was introduced in a very likable manner. She helped out the Straw Hats by cover so they wouldn't be discovered. Then it comes to find out there's a twist because she has an evil side where she misled the Straw Hats, which led up to Luffy and Nami being captured by Montdor in the prison book. And we come to find out that she misled Sanji because that was a role in all of this. And you knew just the fact she was the Pudding wife of Sanji, you knew something was up. Turns out she has a third eye and an evil side to her. She shot Reiju, which a lot of people didn't like. She misled Sanji. Sanji's love says it all to what we all thought. It's amazing how a lot of people by that moment how many people wanted to hang Pudding after that. Oh my gosh, it's not even funny. And fast forward to the wedding ceremony, right? Obviously Sanji complimented Pudding in a third eye. It's the turning point of the arc because nobody else gave her third eye compliments. They was always scared of it. Even Big Mom calling her a heinous monster, which obviously didn't help matters much. So you kind of understand where childhood she's teased for a third eye, so she ended up psychotic and stabbing those people. Just like Katakuri beat the shit out of people. It's like, no, I don't give a fuck. The third eye said, no, you're not heinous. You're kind of quite beautiful even with that third eye. That was the turning point for a character. She had a split personality from that point on, which is kind of funny and a gag, but sometimes it got played out way too much. But by the end, when she's reminiscing over Sanji, she actually deeply cares about Sanji's feelings. And again, and I've said this in my review, the fact that you have to see that scene in the anime very briefly. After she takes the film out of Sanji's from his mind, it appears like he forgot about it, but no, because he references it by name, saying, Pudding, what do you want to tell me? So he never forgot by name. You just have to watch that scene very briefly. And then she just cries because she has to let Sanji go, because she realizes she has to go on. I don't know why she couldn't go with her. It's kind of like the Viola separation, like, oh, a tease, but no, we can't have that. I guess you can't have the Charlotte family members discussed without the mother of all the siblings, and that being Charlotte Linlin, Big Mom. What do you think she was portrayed the way she should have been portrayed from a character standpoint? Because let me tell you something, okay? When it comes to Kaido, his character was hyped from his introduction. The way Big Mom was fully introduced, yeah, in Fishman Island, she kind of seemed menacing, like just with her drooling and burning the floor and shit, with her dressing bobbins. And it's like, no, she got called out by Luffy. Luffy's like, I'm going to kick your ass all over the New World. And Big Mom, she didn't really do anything after that shit. She was obviously pissed off about what bring me Caesar, but she didn't do anything to Luffy. Like, fuck that. Again, imagine if that was Kaido. Luffy and his crew will probably be dead right now. We got later into a flashback which you couldn't find out what happened to her. It is tragic, yes, but she never got some development because she never got over her appetite. She was led by Streusen, who ended up plowing her, I guess. After that, it all went downhill. She became very, very synonymous to the government. We still don't know how she became a Yonko, but we do know she had the ability to become an admiral, and her bounty was ridiculous. But then we couldn't find out she didn't have any growth at all. She's just going around. She had hunger pants. She even killed Oprah at one point. It turned out into a mess. So from a character standpoint, not so much growth, but from a portrayal of a Yonko, what do you guys think? Did you think it was a good portrayal, or do you think some things could have been better? We did get a sacrifice, or a point, more than one sacrifice apparently, because Pedro obviously sacrificing himself with the dynamite to take out Perospero, and the Strats could escape. We also could find out at least Jinbei, the Sun Pirates, and the rest of the Vinsmokes ended up sacrificing the lives of us. That's what we're meant to believe, thanks to the anime. I don't know how true that is, but either way, it doesn't look very good for Jinbei and crew. But if they added that in there to give Big Mom some more legitimacy when it comes to having a Yonko and not having many repercussions, like the Straw Hats got off scot-free. Everybody else, yeah, they need to be killed in order to set an example. This is what happens when you deal with the Yonko. In any case, there were 3 great character moments for Nami in this arc, which is ironic because all of them involve Luffy. She helped out with Cracker, like I mentioned before, but the speech she gives, Luffy's appetite is unlimited because he'll become the king of the pirates. That compliment right there, solidifying the faith of Luffy again during this Luffy-Sanji ordeal. After that, when Luffy kind of got knocked out, well, it seemed like he was knocked out by Sanji. After that, Nami slapped the hell out of Sanji, said farewell, and which is ironic because Nami was the one that cried in Luffy's arms about Sanji. That she decided to let Sanji go so she could assist Luffy. Great character moment, even though a lot of people thought maybe she should have been able to see through Sanji more clearer, like Luffy was. But in the heat of the moment, you can kind of get wrapped up in that. Later on in the arc, when Katakuri and Luffy make it in the mirror world, and then Nami, later on, once she finds out, Luffy's like, no, break all the mirrors, make sure they can't get on board Sunny. You see the hesitant look on her face, but she does it anyway. And she's like, break all the mirrors. And Brooke's like, what the hell are you doing? And Luffy's going to kick that guy's ass and make it back to us. So just break all the mirrors right now to believe in our captain. It's captain's orders. That quote right there, the face she has in Luffy, great character moment. So Sanji, this whole arc is about him. Very self-explanatory. But from a character standpoint, what do you guys think? From his backstory to him losing the judge the way he did, I still think issues with that, considering the fact that Sanji's observation haki is kind of advanced. He dodged the bullet from Katakuri. Later on in this arc, he's able to sense a woman's tears like Tashigi back in Funk Hazard. The fact that he couldn't see Judge's attack, even though he pierced and pretty much a fire at this point just to get to Sanji, I still question that. Either way, after that, Sanji didn't really get a full 1v1. He got some epic moments, but not a full 1v1, which we thought he should have. Back in Enies lobby, when it was all about Robin's liberation, her freedom, right? Luffy got the final fight. He usually does, but he got flashed out more than others. He decided to stick around because he didn't want to leave the Vinsmokes after he found out what Pudding's plan was to eliminate the Vinsmokes. He couldn't do it because he's too kind. And even Luffy goes to the limit and says, yeah, you're just that kind of a person, Sanji. So we're going to help you out with that. And you can call it conspiracy theory if you want, but I'm starting to think maybe Oda was rushed by the editors when it came to the manga, so maybe what he had in mind for Whole Cake Island, and because of it being rushed, maybe by the editors, say, you got to wrap this up because we've got to get the Wano and the Revelry, so Oda had no choice but to wrap things up. So Sanji did get a 1v1, which we thought he should have, on epic, great moments, where he freed the Vinsmokes and just helped him and Luffy blocking Big Mom's attack so it doesn't get to Reiju, and the sort of with the characters from Luffy. Obviously, Luffy going nuts from all this arc, chasing after Sanji, calling Sanji out on his bullshit twice, saying, no, you're not going to fool him that because the only one hurting was you after you inflicted damage to B. Sanji tearing up, and Luffy admitting, like, I can't do this without you, I cannot become king of the pirates without you. So I'm going to be waiting right here, as stubborn as it was there from Luffy. Another is where he just, again, he calls out the bullshit. He's like, no, tell me what it is you really want, Sanji. This time he actually punches Sanji right back in the face. And that's where we get the epic emotional scene of Sanji saying he wants to save the Vince Banks, but he wants to go back to the Sunny. Luffy says, you got it. We just have to make sure everybody else is on board. And that it goes from there. Another character moment is when he's taking Katakuri into the real world, and he's like, I'll leave the rest of you. And he's acting like a captain, which we rarely get to see. And the situation after Pedro's sacrifice, it's like, if we don't go forward, we'll never be able to look Pedro in the eye again. So I love that quote from Luffy and his maturity in this arc. And him just, like, the way he just covers up Katakuri's face, even after he won, which he didn't need to do that. But he did. And it's like, and even after he got distracted by Flampe and the needle, he got stabbed, and Katakuri said, I should have been aware of what Flampe was doing, and Luffy's like, no, there's no such thing as dirty tactics in a pirate fight. So that was kind of cool. Wanted to learn how to use observation hockey to see into the future, or at least the intent in the future. So, again, great character moments for Luffy in this arc. Obviously, he released Snake Mode in episode 870, which probably by far one of the best episodes, if not the best episode in the arc. Luffy character obviously standpoint, he said, we'll meet you on Wano Jinbei, knowing full well what could happen, but he did it anyway because he believes in Jinbei and he believes in the crew, but he has to get out of those predicaments, so he's acting like a captain. So that's the character. That memory gets very underrated because from a Luffy standpoint. So there's the characters. When it comes to the fights, obviously Luffy versus Sanji, Brook versus Big Mom, Katakuri versus Luffy. Those are the fights that stand out to me the most. Which Nami versus Brûlé, I don't really consider that a fight, more or less a struggle. Although Nami did get out of that predicament. And I love the Brook versus Big Mom fight only because they added more to the fight as the manga didn't. Yes, was it inconsistent? Yeah, because it's a Yonko versus Brook. That should have been a squash, but just the fact that Brook got a chance to shine, which we usually don't get. And on top of that, just from an animation standpoint, I feel like there's certain things they did better than the manga, but there's certain things they could have brushed upon I thought could have been better. But really enjoyable arc. Luffy versus Sanji, the most emotional fight. It got 2 episodes of a special dedicated to this. Rating out of 10, I'll probably give this an 8 out of 10, maybe 7.5. Let me know what you guys think down below. This conversation has gone for way too long. That's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like this video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece. It's on to the reverie from here. Thanks guys. Bye.